let's maybe bring it back to music and music education and helping students and people who are listening and music lovers. What message would you like to share?
To try to express with the freedom of the maturity, but of course, without forget that we have always models, so great models, so incredible, unreachable models before us, and so to try to express uh, our own musicality, musical sense with freedom, but not forgetting never what happened before us, because I think maybe after Johann Sebastian Bach, we are all without the possibility to reach again such a high point, musical point. But we have still many geniuses who can help us to express with interpretations, with compositions, improvisation, the highest activity of human being, I think, is music. The moment more near to the truth, or to the truth is truths, but and try to enjoy. And I know that music, like every heart, is fruit of high functioning autism, but and we suffer a lot also in this isolation of our condition of artists, but then for students to think that you arrive with persevere, if you persevere in the research of bettering the better, you arrive to enjoy what you can produce, and the human being is so different. So we have too many ways to express this musically, and of course I don't like atonality, but there are beautiful masterworks of atonality. And I think that the most important thing would be to think that in during one age they had a way of thinking also very different, but there were in order to analyze Bach, it's not important to be a Rameau follower in order to understand Bach, but to understand César Franck is much more important, for example. And so I'm not against the Rameau system, because I wanted to go back to the polemic. I think that it's not necessary to use these to produce or to understand it, to perform one period. And it's like to use other parameters they didn't know, they didn't want to have, maybe, like Bach against the Rameau system. But of course, this is important to know if you want to produce music in maybe in the Ravel style. I don't know. Then I think analysis is very important to understand, but is the real analysis is made through interpretation. So and I think we have to be more practical in order to understand better the past. These are things, but these are things very common, and I don't invent anything. I try to deepen my musical obsessions, and try to understand how they thought, how they composed, played, and the cantabile style, the bel canto style, and the instrumental approach that is necessary for every organist, every clavichord player, every violin player. There are many, 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 but this is a matter for another interview. Maybe. Many misunderstandings in the early music movement world now. There are many fashions completely far from I think, from my idea of sound, of interpretation of gestures of that age, because we always think that what is romantic is opposite to the Baroque. No. What is the real revolutions were made, have been made after the First War, between this, from Middle Age to the First War. There was much more continuity, we think. There were a lot, of course, of fashions, of new instruments, the piano, the organ changed in every kilometer, every year. But the style of composing also, but in the common practice system, there were always the cantabile style of the dissonance and the resolution of dissonances. So we have this, we have the crescendo from the preparation of the dissonance, the sforzate in the dissonance, the diminuendo. And this is the general rule. And then we can move the opposite, because music is variety, so we tend to variety. We can do the opposite. So I think that for keyboard players, the most important thing is to understand the cantabile style, the singing treatises, the singing way to listening. All singers of bel canto tradition before the First War, not the verists, Luisa Tetrazzini, to listen Paderewski to understand Couperin, to listen how to spread the chords, how to play inégal. In jazz, the inégalité is still living in the classical music of the rigid 20th century, with the metronome cultus myth.
Cultus.
This is the opposite of what happened in every historical sources of the express musician, not of the worship musician. Explain us that in order to express emotions, text words like madrigal, you have to change continuously in a very elegant way, timing, inégalité, égalité. So this happened in the Paderewski Chopin, or the Couperin, beautiful by Paderewski. But it happens happened also in Bach, and there are testimonies of it. Of course, it happened in Frescobaldi, in the Italian seconda pratica style, that is the invention of this free singing style, no? And also about articulation, but we have I'm a little bit always more less and less in agreement with many colleagues, but this for my research on the sources, of course, and we could speak really for days. And so don't follow too much the fashions. Now partimento is a fashion. I was engaged in it, but I tried to do it like a game. Often I prepare partimentos after dinner, like digestive, and I go, I record what I try to do, and then when there are good ideas, in order to fix, don't forget. I write down, but it's possible to write partimento. It was maybe not the first goal, partimento, but partimento, the intavolatura, the literature written down are partimentos, panzerontes, in order to realize good this basis, look to Bach, look to Handel. So these are, and I remember Bach. There are copies of Bach preludes of the first book of Volte per ite Sclavia, in which the copist write down after the prelude the partimento of the prelude. You can find in Petrucci also this copy, and so you have the harmonic base with numbers of all the prelude. Of course, more for the chordal arpeggio preludes, but there are testimonies. So there is always a partimento, a continuo figured bass movement idea in the brain of the composers from the continuo age to Mahler. Brahms wrote, I remember the beginning of the Fourth Symphony. There is the melody, the bass with the numbers. This is the first sketch. Brahms studied Fuchs, studied Marpur, studied Kirberger, and was a very fan of historical contrapoint of Schütz, great genius. And so try to don't follow too much the now Bach is Glenn Gould or Bach is Leonard or Bach is not this. Is a little bit of everybody. So maybe is the freedom of the approach, not be too academic, and also this. I hate academism of today. I prefer the academism of Padre Martini, not the anti-academism by Bach. In Paolucci, they speak about the German fugues for keyboard by Mr. Handel, Mr. Bach, Mr. Scarlatti also, and he tells Paolucci, but it's Martini, the professor. You see the freedom of the fugue for keyboard. So I don't think that is so necessary. The school fugue is a nice exercise in order to develop brain and technique, but is an academic dry. The Bach fugues are never dry, and I want to finish remembering the words I've read in a Bach document recently. There was like an interview to Bach made by Marburg, walking under the trees of Leipzig, and Bach is reported. Bach told about the fugue, and Bach told that the most fugues of earlier masters and also of contemporary masters are missing of fire. And this is my I feel since I was 4 and I listened to Bach Brode and Fugue, I was shocked, and I decided to play all my life Bach, dedicate a musical life to him in this autismus. Of course, a lot of people made the same, and we are organists or we are keyboard players, but the fire in the fugue. I listen. Why I'm not really a fan of the Naples or some Italian didactical fugue system is very nice. They were genius, and they wrote also very nice Catholic music. But the last Catholic music for me are the Ricercate, the Capricci by Frescobaldi. This is the highest contrapuntal keyboards, but contrapuntal style of the great Italy of Renaissance of the 16th century, or the Marenzi, the Palestrina things, the Flemish mixed with Italians, so in Ferrara. But after it, in a counterpoint on the general bass system of the duality of the modern tonality, major minor, Johann Sebastian Bach made things impossible to repeat, but so high, and this have fire. So what to try to always to feel to reach the fire we have in the best music in the human being. Thank you very much.